What's up, guys? We are back. This is The Real Deal with Casey and Jason, where we talk real life, real experiences, and occasionally real estate. And today I'm very excited because we have another special guest here in our new studio.
That's right.
That we kind of skated over last time around. What's up, dude? How you doing?
I'm good.
Guys, this is Bernie Cevis.
That's it, yeah.
Cevis. I thought it was Service, but it's Bernie Cevis.
That's like the subliminal thing, I think. When you see a word, have you ever seen that where they mix up the letters, but you just see the same word?
Like the first letter and the last letter, and you can just fill in the rest.
Yeah. It happens all the time.
I was like, hey, that's Bernie Service.
Something about the V makes it look like an R, I think, and so you see it and you're like, oh, yeah, Service.
Definitely Service.
Yeah, definitely. Then you're like, oh, I'm sorry.
So, Bernie, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your company. And then a little bit of backstory. And before we start that, I want to ask you, too. You just mentioned you've been tuning in to The Real Deal.
I have been. I think I've watched maybe 5 or 6 full episodes. I actually watched the one that aired today, I think.
Okay, with
Mark. Was it with Mark?
With Mark, yeah.
Dude's jacked.
He's pretty big. Kind of like, am I working out? It was a very good podcast. I saw the one where you were talking about, the one that actually rocked me the most was when we were talking about habit creation and like your morning routine and all that. And I think that might have been episode 2
that
or 3.
That was early.
So, yeah, I've been watching for a little while now.
Thank you, man.
Saw the one when Megan was on, and then the one where McCrae. Yeah. And then I saw when it was a coffee shop owner.
Yeah, Tammy.
Yep. Yeah, her story was really
cool.
Shout out.
Yeah,
right here. Bay. Oh, there it is. We got it.
Yeah. I got you, Tammy.
So now I feel like I got to go down there now because I'm like, I feel like I know her just from the podcast.
Yeah,
definitely. It was really cool.
That's
her
awesome.
story was really cool. So
yeah,
she's awesome.
We've had a lot of people with really cool stories. So let's hear yours, man. What's your story?
So Bernie Cevis, Cevis. Yep. So I own Faithful Fitness in Elkton, Maryland. We actually opened in May. Was the soft opening. Grand opening was in September of this past year. And so Faithful Fitness actually launched the brand in 2019. In February of 2019, and the plan then was to open in Baltimore County. So I started my training career back in 2014, and I worked at Marriott Athletic Clubs in White Marsh. Funny story how that came to be. So we'll get there. So anyway, I launched Faithful Fitness in 2019 and was like, cool. 1 year later, I'm going to open up, my own facility, and then COVID hit, and so I ended up, which kind of shut down everything. I mean, actually shut down gyms and all of that. So I ended up renting space out of another gym for what was supposed to be 1 year, turned into 3 years, and then finally launched Faithful Fitness in 2022.
So, I remember that, man. I remember seeing you guys announcing and whatnot.
Yeah. It was a big moment, exciting, scary, all of that, all wrapped into one, and. Most of my training was in the Baltimore County area for about 8 years. So I left around 45 to 55 members, clients to move out to Elkton, Northeast. So it was a big jump. Big jump. So, Faithful Fitness, the faith is in the name. So, you got to do things that, some put you in uncomfortable positions, to really get your best. And so my background, prior to my training career, I played football for 20 years, and so from the time I was 5, I tell the story all the time because it doesn't really make sense, but kind of like it was what I was supposed to do. So I was younger and I was watching basketball, and he was like, "What sport do you want to play?" And I was like, "Football." And I thought basketball was football. So they were like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, this kid doesn't know what he's talking about." And so ended up walking into a football field, fell in love immediately, and so I played for 20 seasons straight. So I played rec football in Harford County. I played at Edgewood High School and then Harford Tech in Harford County. Played at LaSalle University in Philadelphia. Very cool. 1AA. Then I played at University of Minnesota Duluth, won a national championship in 2008.
No way. Wow, did not know that. That's awesome.
Then I played semi-pro ball in Wisconsin for the Lake Superior Rage, and I was a hamstring pull away from playing for the Saints. So I had a pretty long journey there with football.
That was very cool.
After football ended, I was kind of like, okay, now what? Because the majority of my life had been sports. So kind of bounced around, job here, job there. Tried insurance, I tried car sales, I tried telemarketing, all of that. And so finally it was like, do what you love. And so, training and helping people discover who they are through fitness. Fitness is really a healing ministry. It's a healing service.
Absolutely.
It's a health service, but it's a healing service. And, the industry right now doesn't really magnify that. And I think that the more that people come to that realization, the more they realize it's something that they have to do on a regular basis. Faithful fitness, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if you want to do it, you do it. But you don't want to do it, you still got to do it. So,
I love it, man.
Dude, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was talking to you, Jason, about that. So I played Division I baseball at Youngstown State.
Nice.
So you're probably familiar with Youngstown.
Yeah.
They won some national championships when Tressel was there.
Okay, yeah.
Back in the day. I guess that would have been probably maybe before our time, I think.
Right, yeah.
Because I graduated 2010, and you would have graduated around...
I graduated in 08.
Okay, so you're a couple years before.
Yeah.
But when I got done playing baseball, I was like, I don't know what to do. I never planned ahead. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, my career. I was with my girlfriend at the time, wife now. So I was like, all right, well, I have that part of my life figured out. I'm good there. But I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like I was lacking something at that point.
Right.
So it was, weird feeling. It was the closest to being like depressed, I think, that I've ever been. Because I kind of lost my, that was my goal since I was 5 years old. I wanted to play baseball.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when that season ended, I'm like out of college, finishing up my degree, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm not very good at golf. I don't think I'm going to make it in baseball.
Right.
But
yeah.
man, that's crazy. So you went through a couple different things, and then you were like, I'm going to do what I love and help people get in better shape. So how did that journey start when you were just training?
So I was working at a company down in Baltimore, in the Care First building. Well, I don't even know if it's called the Care First building, but at the top it's Care First.
Okay.
Yeah. Down in Fells Point. So I was downtown Canton, not Fells Point, Canton. And so I was working in that building, and she wasn't even my girlfriend then. She's now my wife.
Okay.
And so at the time, I was just training her and a couple other people. They were like, what are you doing to stay in shape? I was like, you're always in shape.
People are looking at it.
Always well, there's got to be something. Yeah, there's got to be something, right? And so I was like, yeah, sure. And so I was training people for free. And people were getting results. And they're like, you really should take this seriously. Like, you really should, you're really good at this. And I'm like, oh, I just do it because I like to do it. I love doing it. It's not even... At the time, it wasn't even about revenue or money or career. It was just helping people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so from that, right next to the building that I was working in down in Canton is the Canton Merit Athletic Clubs down in Baltimore. And I was walking across the street from Target. I went to go there to go get lunch. Weird place to get lunch. Went to Target to get lunch, and I'm talking to my wife, Melinda, but at the time wasn't even my girlfriend. And she's like, "You should really take this training thing seriously." And I was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna walk into this Merit, right?" And so walk into the Merit, and the day I walk in, right, I walk to the desk, and the manager's walking up, and she says, "Can I help you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm here to see about a job." And I was like, I help people on the side. I've never taken training seriously. She was like, well, yesterday we just did a big interview process where we interviewed 1,000 people.
Wow.
Didn't know that in 2014 they were opening the Merit Athletic Clubs in White Marsh. Mm-hmm. And so they said, we just did this big 1,000-person interview process. The gym was 55,000 square feet.
That's
it's huge. She said, but I'll tell you what, I'll give you the number, the club manager's number. If he doesn't hire you, call me back, I'll hire you. She said, you just have it. And I was like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? What is it? You know what I mean? So
Melinda's like,
I told you. So, what you don't know, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's good to be around people who can see your value before you can see it. And so, which is kind of part of the reason why she became my wife. But anyway, that's another story. And so contacted them, went through the interview process, and ended up starting there in July. And by November, I was the number one trainer in the company.
That's awesome, man.
And so it was 107 trainers. I was number one. For 22 months straight, I was the top 3.
So what does that entail? Is that volume of clients or?
Yeah, right. Great question. So it's volume of clients.
Okay.
It's the number of sessions that you do, and the amount of revenue that you're bringing in.
That's
and
awesome, man.
Those 3 metrics basically, will classify you and set you up where you're going to be at as far as your commission that they pay you and all that. And so in the beginning, I was very committed to the grind.
Yeah.
So when you first start as a personal trainer in that type of an environment, you're not getting paid like an hourly rate. So you really don't get paid until you get clients.
Right.
So I would be there at 5 o'clock in the morning, sleeping under the desk. You know what I'm saying? Just to try to be the early bird gets the worm. And so I started there in July. By August, I had my first client, and it just took off.
And you think it was mainly word of mouth?
It was word of mouth, and then
That's what
people,
Hormozy talks about,
and people seeing your work. You know what I'm saying? So people be watching like, I never seen nobody make them do that. You got any space? You know what I'm saying? Is there any space in your schedule? I'm like, yes, why not? Come on in. So, it ended up, growing to the point where I was #1 trainer in the company, and actually had the opportunity to train the Ravens mascot, Poe.
Oh, yeah.
And so there was a whole promotional thing that we did, and I was the trainer that was selected to send him out onto the field and all that. The video's still floating around YouTube somewhere. It's like Poe gets a makeover or something. Poe gets slimmer or something. So you'll see me in there doing jumping jacks with Poe. So
that's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
That's cool, man.
I got chills when you said that you walked into the place and the lady was like, "We actually just did a hiring event."
Yeah.
Because I've seen so many times in my life and talking to different people that nothing is by chance. It's like God puts you in places that you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, and we don't always know when that time is, but thank God he walked in there on that day.
Right.
Changed the course of your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you took action. Like, you could have just been like, no, that event was yesterday. Like, don't worry about it.
Right,
like, you could have used it as like, I missed it.
Yeah. And I think so many people do.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like, there's times in life where there's like a aha moment, and there's a definite, I call it divine intervention, where it's like, this is like the exact moment that you're supposed to be here. And it's like, okay, so what are you going to do? Are you going to sit here and let the light go from green to yellow back to red, or are you going to go? You know what I'm saying? And so I stepped out on faith and said, all right, well, let's make this call. I had no real experience.
Yeah, that was one of my next questions.
Wasn't nothing, and so
what'd you study at LaSalle?
LaSalle was, what didn't I study? I went as a computer science major, and it took me one semester to realize this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Some people, they have that they're good at that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I couldn't do the work. It's just that I'm a people person, out moving, and so, I'm in class and they're like, man, this is awesome. I'm like, this is terrible. I'm like, I'm getting an A, but I'm never coming back. So, ended up majoring in communication, minoring in psychology and forensics. And so, that still wasn't fitness. But what is amazing is that, God will use things that you don't really realize are a part of the plan for the plan. Because personal training, a lot of times you end up being like a psychologist,
a therapist.
Yeah.
You said psychology. I was like, that was for a reason.
That was for a reason. Exactly. And so being able to communicate on an interpersonal level, on a face-to-face level, on to talk to someone but they don't want to talk, having all those different type of skills and understanding what's going on when it's happening, benefited me in the personal training space, in the fitness space. I always tell other trainers that, personal training, the first word is personal. And so if there's not a personal connection, if you're not able to communicate and relate to them on a personal level, you can forget training.
Yeah, you're not gonna last very
long. People go to YouTube and I don't need to see you. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? So if there's no connection personally, you can forget it. You're never going to really get the results that you want to help them change.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of the trainers that I talk to and that I work with, some of them have studied exercise science or kinesiology or whatnot, but a lot of them haven't. Like it ends up being like a function of like, obviously they played a sport or they just work out on their own or whatnot, but they've got that personal, good relationship building component, and then they use what they love, and kind of stack both of them on top, and then they become successful that way.
Exactly.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah. And how would you say your career in football, college career, your sports and team environment, like how do you think that has prepared you? Because I think that ties in so closely too with the mental aspect. But like, what are your experiences with that? How do you think that prepared you for what you do?
Well, it's a couple ways. So one of the ways that I've noticed recently that it prepared me is I played wide receiver. Okay. And so
that was one of my questions.
In high school, I played everything: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, defense. Strong safety was my bread and butter. I was all.
Where'd you go to high school?
Harvard Tech.
That's right. You did in Edgewood. Harvard Tech in Edgewood.
Edgewood for my freshman, sophomore year, and then Harvard Tech for my junior senior year.
Okay, that's right.
And my senior year, I graduated as a all-state strong safety.
Okay.
And when I got to LaSalle, they said, "You want to play offense or defense?" I was like, "Well, kind of like scoring touchdowns." So you know what I'm saying. So I ended up going with the offensive side. But to answer your question, one of the things that I've noticed recently was what playing at such a high level prepared me for. When you get to the next level in any type of sports, you're always watching tape. And so when you're watching tape, what you're doing is you're studying the movements. At least that's what I was doing. I was studying you to see how I could break you down on this route. And so I'm studying your leverages. I'm studying where you shift your weight. I'm studying how you move, all of that to kind of position myself in a place to be the most successful on that play. And so I've noticed that when I look at somebody move, I see them moving differently than other people do when they see them. From years and years of studying human movement. And so that has become a tool in the toolbox, if you will, for being a good personal trainer.
That's interesting, because you probably do. I think Dean talked about this as well, watching people move, and he talked about even like toddlers, basically.
Infants,
And he's talking about functional movements and how he trains and works with people now that are in their 70s and 80s, and he's like, if we could just go back to the way people moved when they were toddlers, the way they pick something up, the way their body hinges and moves. So that's interesting that you have an eye for that too.
Exactly right, and the toddler thing is like spot on. Somehow, as we get older, we learn how to be lazy, and so so everything we bend over is all we're leaning, and so toddlers, when they do, they sit down to pick everything up, and that's really how the body is designed to move functionally. On an orthokinetic level, that's how the joints are designed. But
everything we do reverses us out of that.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you were with Merit for a while, and then you launched the Faithful Fitness brand in 2019.
Yeah, there was actually a step in between there. So I was with Merit from 2014 to 2017, and then in 2017 I went into business with someone else to open a gym called Empowered Fitness, and they're down in Nottingham, Maryland. And so Nottingham is like between White Marsh and like Perry Hall, Joppatown. And so if you ever heard like Putty Hill or anything like that, it's kind of like that area. And so I was there from 2017 to 2019, and then left there, like I said, in January to launch Faithful Fitness. I was like, all right, now it's time to step out and do this thing.
Do my thing.
And then God was like, hold up, we got a pandemic coming. So I was like, okay. So, kind of changed things a little bit. So the blessing was, though, this was the blessing, because I was so small, I was able to be fluid. And so I was able to adapt and do some different things to stay afloat during that time when they were like, no one go to the gym at all. So,
Now, what brought you to Elkton?
So my wife and my family has lived in Cecil County since 2002. We live in, my mother and father still live in Port Deposit. They bought a house there, up off Dr. Jack Road. So not down in the town, but like up on the hill. And so that was why I switched high schools, was because we moved out to Cecil County, and I was like, but all my friends, you know what I'm saying? So we was able to work it out with the high school where I was able to get in before we, moved up. So, blessing. So anyway, we would have
loved to have you in Cecil County. By the
way. So we played Bow Manor and all them too. It was a good time.
I remember playing tech and whatnot.
Back in the day.
Funny story. I think this had to be North Hartford, maybe. North Hartford had a team too, right? So the first play I ever got in, I didn't play football until my junior year of high school. And finally my friends got me talked into it. I'm like, all right, I'll play. And Bow Manor was like the same thing. Like when you played, you played offense, defense,
special teams,
punt return, kickoff, kick return. Like it literally never left the field. But the first play I ever got in against North Hartford, I played linebacker. So, a guy gets hurt, Howland, you're up. And, they run a sweep to my side. I'm like, all right. I remember this from practice. I'm scraping, working my way over. And somebody turned the corner, dude, knocked my head completely off. And I just remember looking up at the lights. And I'm like, what just happened? Like, dude, completely knocked me out.
Later that series, it was also my first year playing football. I was a sophomore. I was playing corner. Because we played baseball growing up together. And we, for some reason, both decided to play football that same year. He was a junior, I was a sophomore. It might have been that same play. This was the quarterback, so he was rolling out. So it wasn't a tailback sweep, but he was rolling out. He broke contain. He was a big boy, and I'm standing at the 1 yard line, thinking I'm gonna form tackle this guy, and he ran over my face into the end zone. And I was the same thing, looking up at the lights, like, what just happened? And why am I playing football? Send me home.
I don't remember this part. Then I'm like dreading it the whole time we're watching film, getting close to this play, and I'm like breaking out in a sweat. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna get my face ripped off when they get to this play. And one of our coaches, Lentz, like the play, worked its way out, and then he's like, rewind that. Who is this? 52.
What
are you doing? I'm like, I don't don't know, man. I'm learning here. I'm learning.
Right.
But
Coach, I don't know who that is. It's not me.
Somebody took my jersey. That was not me.
That ended up being decent. My senior year, I played a lot and got experience and really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ended up, I don't know what I was, honorable mention something, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Athletes, I like it.
Yeah, all of us. We played played baseball at Cecil too, both of us, and then I went out to Youngstown and played.
Yeah.
But I think too, it definitely prepares you, especially at the higher levels, because it's like all the things that you need to be successful in business and sales. Like it's a mental game more than anything.
It is.
And like you were saying, you know, you're not coming into a salary where, hey man, thanks for being here. Here's your salary.
Right.
It's like, no, you got to go get clients. You got to make your clients happy. You got to find more clients. And it's a mental thing more than anything too, especially when you hit the failures, the setbacks.
Right.
How do you respond to that?
Yeah. The adversity piece in sports is really key to me in life.
Yeah.
You know, and learning those lessons young. You're like, you got ran over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now what? You know,
I don't want that to happen again.
Exactly.
So what do I need to do to not let that happen again?
Exactly right. You know,
Right.
Exactly. And so that's a life lesson.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that spans, all things in life. Just different spectrum.
And so one of your first clients now is your wife, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have kids?
We do. We have 2 little girls. I was like,
Nice.
God, I want boys. He said, girls. Well, I guess, I love them. I'm a girl that like 1,000%.
Yeah,
so
that's
I have a
awesome.
4-year-old and a 1-year-old. The 1-year-old just started walking about a month and a half ago. Just like all of a sudden, I'm ready. He just took off. And
Didn't give you any
running.
notice.
No notice, no warning. About 2 days before we saw, she was just kind of standing up, and I was like, I think she's getting ready to walk. And I was actually in our sunroom painting, and turned around, and so it's like a 4 seasons room, so it's like glass. And what happened was she was looking out the glass and turned around, and it was glass on the other side. So I think she thought, I'm just touching the glass, and just started walking across the floor. And I was like, I didn't want to breathe to startle her. So I'm like, watching her walk across the floor, and I told my wife, she said, "They're gonna do it again." I said, "I don't know how to make her. You trying to make her break money?" You know what I mean? So she ended up walking again. So she's
awesome,
running
man.
now. So yeah.
Very cool. Congrats, man.
Thank you.
And then the building that you're in now, did you lease the building, buy the building?
Yeah, I did lease the building.
You did? Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
You
yeah.
plan on buying it in the future?
That's the hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get there where we buy it. Yeah, absolutely. So I love the property. I love the space, and it's like just nicely nestled between Northeast and Elkton.
Yeah, I didn't
right
even
on
know
the
what the
floor.
actual address if it was Northeast or Elkton, but it's Elkton.
It's technically Elkton.
But there's that area. I just never know if it's Northeast or Elkton.
Yeah. And
But
it's right on 40?
It's right on 40.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know where the Blue Iris Salon is at on Route 40?
I've passed it a bunch of times, but
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure.
You ever heard of Paradise Motors?
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
that's probably
yeah,
the
yeah.
next
Okay.
thing he's gonna say.
The very next turn from Paradise Motors.
Got it.
Paradise Motors, one turn up is Blue Iris, and we're back behind the Blue Iris.
Got it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little long drive that takes you back there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what's that been like? Like your soft opening was in May of
Right.
last year.
Yeah.
And then you opened in September. Like, can you tell us about some of the, like, what did you do to prepare yourself for, like, I'm starting my own thing? Like, you had to have had, like, to know, like, man, if this doesn't work, which I don't think you probably you knew it was going to work because you had good clients and had a long string of success training, but there had to be some sort of, like, man, if this doesn't work, like, what am I going to do? Like, just tell us about that whole process.
I think when you start anything like that fear or that thought always is there in some level, like way in the back recess of your mind, and you kind of like don't even want to
Acknowledge it.
put that energy on what you're doing, you know. And so what was divine delay? So we found out, because I was actually planning to open in November of 21, and so and I'd already signed the lease and everything in June. July we found out we were pregnant, and that we were going to be due in January. And I was like, well, if I want to stay married, I probably shouldn't open the gym in November, because I know I'm going to be there like 85 hours a week. You know what I'm saying? She's like home with a newborn and a 3-year-old. Like, nah, that's not going to work. So luckily, the landlord was gracious enough to push the lease start date back.
That's very
5
nice.
months to March. So that gave us, that time to really kind of lock in and get some other things in place before I opened.
Yeah.
March turned into May, with COVID, everything was delayed. This was delayed. This was stuck in a tanker or in a shipping container out in the ocean or whatever. So things got delayed. So anyway, we opened in May, and so there's certain things that I'm a man of faith. So there's certain things that God will do that just kind of let you know you're doing the right thing. And so in April, I was actually in the building doing some work. And I mean, a lot of the work, neither one of you have been there, but
No, I haven't been there yet.
It's a brand new building, so we're the first. I'm the first person to ever be in it.
Wow.
So I'm hoping to be the first and the last. Like this this is it. You know. So anyway, so all the work that was done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm in there putting together equipment, laying floor, building desks, all that kind of stuff. Hanging up heavy bags. We had boxing bags and all that stuff in the gym.
Okay.
And so this is April, Dusty, and I had a guy come in, and he actually works at Big Dave. He was the first member of the gym, and he came in April, and like I said, there's dust everywhere, people all over the place, hot, sweat, there's bugs on your face, and he's like, "I'm gonna be your first member." I was like, "Okay."
This guy's crazy.
He said, "So when you open, I'm your first member." And the day that we opened, May 2nd, he came in that day.
That's awesome,
man. That shows again.
And so,
awesome.
and so it was
That's
just
very
for like a month. It was just me and him in there working out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then word started getting out, and then another 2 people showed up, and another 4 people showed up, and another 5 or 6 would show up. And so, divine intervention. So we opened in May. Had planned the grand opening in September. In the middle of that, there's a gym in there was a gym in Northeast called Body Force.
Yep.
They closed in August, and so I didn't know that they were planning to close. So it was in Body Force. Their location from where we are now, from where I am now, is maybe 3 miles.
Over by the food line, right?
By the food line in Northeast. Yeah. So now it's a new gym in there, I think called Euro Gym or something like that. But anyway, there was this community of people that's like, "What are we about to do?
Where do we go?"
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, "Hey, fitness, we open next month." And so, it was just like the timing of that. Like you can't plan that. You couldn't have foreseen that, and it wouldn't have happened that way had we opened in November.
Right.
It had to get pushed in May. And you know what I'm saying? So it's little things that happen that let you know, okay, yeah, even when it's tough, just keep going. Yeah. Something's about to break, keep pushing, keep grinding. And so, again, that's another thing in life, it's 4 downs and you're playing football and it's like, I got run over, but keep going, it's going to happen, you break through. And so, that's, again, faithful fitness. You got to be faithful to it. It's like you got to believe that's going to happen, number 1. But number 2, you got to keep going.
Yeah.
And so we've grown. And I was just looking now, we have 73 members as it is now. That
Congratulations,
are, reoccurring members. And we have other people that drop in and all that kind of stuff. I went from nobody to having it's like 273 people in our ecosystem that have either come in or, you're talking a little under a year. So it's...
And you're talking Cecil County too, which is, I mean, coming from Baltimore, Canton, Fells Point area where you have a lot of population, like you're talking an area that Cecil County is, just
105,000 people.
Yeah, it's not a ton of people here. So that's awesome that you have that many people that are coming to your gym.
Yeah.
And so what does your gym provide? When you say somebody's a member, what does that entail for them? Right. You run group stuff, personal training?
Yep, all of that. So we have 4 levels of membership. And so there's a silver, gold, diamond, and platinum. And so each one of those levels add more classes. Right. And so the classes that we offer, we have a class called Relentless, and it's a combination of boxing, kettlebell training, and a boot camp style training in 45 minutes. That is a structured program. On Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we do that type of working out. On Tuesday and Thursday, we actually do stretching, which most people don't stretch.
Man, it's so important.
And it's huge.
So important.
It's huge. And so the members that we have is like, man, I didn't realize how much I need to stretch until we started stretching.
Just improving the quality of somebody's life through stretching is so important.
Yeah, those aches and those pains and the bending over that we do wrong, it helps to make all that stuff better.
Yeah.
So so Relentless that's part of the highest tier membership. But that also includes, we have a boxing class called Cardio Cross Boxing.
Sounds intense.
Boxing was something that changed my life on a real deep level. Then we do quick hits, which is a 30-minute hit training class. And we do that at noon for like people who are like, my schedule's hectic, but I got like an hour in the middle of the day. We'll come get this little 30-minute workout in. Then we have boot camp. And we just introduced something new called Mob Camp. And that's a mobility style class.
Oh, cool.
Where it's like working on joint in range of motion, controlling through the joint. Small movements that do a lot for your body. And then we have the newest class as a part of our challenge that we're doing right now. It's called One Up, One Down. It's the most intense training you've probably done in a while. It's not CrossFit, but it's that level, if you will, of intensity.
Timed. Kind of AMRAP style, or
kind of. Yeah. So it's normally it's not necessarily as many reps as you can, but it's 1 minute to get into the red. And we have heart rate monitors. We use my zone, and so and then you have 1 minute to kind of cool all the way back down to the green or the blue if you can, and then you immediately go back up.
Gotcha.
And so it's 2 powerlifting style movements, and then 2 cardio styles. So we have like self-propelled treadmills, and we have a row machine and jump ropes and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And so like the one I did the other day was pull-ups, deadlifts, a 1 minute run on the treadmill, and then a 1 minute row. And in that row I was trying to get 300 meters. And so I did about 1,000 calories.
Jeez, that's a lot.
Yeah, when I mean the next 3 days I was like tiptoeing. I was hurt. So yeah, so we have those are the 4 levels of membership.
Okay.
Then we have personal training, and then we have like kind of specialty programs that we do from time to time. But like there's a youth boxing program that we have running on Saturdays. I do speed and agility camp in July for the athletes.
Yeah,
it's called Spark 'em. Speed, agility, reaction, quickness, and mindset.
Nice.
And so that mindset is like really the factor in all that. You can do all the training you want, but if the mind's not right, you can forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's what
what
we offer. You know?
That's
and
awesome.
And all those levels come with gym access. Just come in and do your thing. So.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's cool.
I always like to ask this question because we've had a couple people now that have gyms. But what advice would you give someone? We're kind of getting away from like the first of the year now, but like everyone wants to get healthy, right? When it comes to New Year's resolutions. But what advice would you give somebody maybe that's just they're just starting out, or they just they're not at a peak level, but they're like, I know I need to do something. Like, do you have any just general advice for somebody for that?
Well, it would be slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
I think that's
good
really
advice.
The oldest adage that there is, but it works.
Yeah.
I actually have a lady who just joined Monday and Tuesday, and she's pretty deconditioned, and she's like, yeah, I want to do personal training and all that. And I said, we're going to start with you just showing up consistently and walking.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Put some resistance on the self-propelled, and it's every day just come in and try to walk 1.5 miles. So that way you can, number one, get your mind into the habit of consistency.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because if we jump right into training, your muscles going to scream. You're like, no, I'm never coming back. You know what I'm saying?
That's an experience you're going to dread from the get-go and like
exactly
categorize it as negative and put it in that box.
So when you're first starting, you want to stack up as many early wins as possible, as many early small wins as possible to build momentum, and then that will carry you into the next phase.
Love that. And from the book Atomic Habits that we've talked about on here before, he talks about the story of a guy who, I think the guy was like 400 pounds or 500 pounds. He was very, very, he knew he needed to do something to basically save himself. And it was basically like just showing up to the gym. And he wouldn't stay for more than like 5 minutes.
Right.
But he had to get in the habit of going to the gym every single day. Even if it was only for 5 minutes, he wasn't going to push it. But the guy ended up losing like a couple hundred pounds and keeping it off. So
Yeah.
I think that's huge, though. That's really where it starts, is that consistent behavior, the habits, the routines. And since you mentioned it, we'll ask this too. What are some of your like daily habits, daily routines? Like, do you have a morning routine that you're into?
So I'm developing my morning routine.
Okay. Cool.
And I feel like every few seasons I have to recalibrate what it is, because life changes.
Yeah.
And so I finally set a hard wake up time,
which is what?
4:30 right
Okay.
now. Yeah,
That's good.
The goal was to get it to 4 and then to 3:30. But I started 4:30. My problem is I don't go to sleep early enough. I'm up till 11:30, 12 o'clock at night.
Tough.
So that's and then trying to get up at 4:30. But I had to set like a hard non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Alarm clock goes off at 4:30. I'm up at 4:30.
Yeah.
So I get up, I pray, I go take a shower, and so that's like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And so that consistency gets to the point where you're not even thinking about it. That's just what you do.
Exactly.
And so that's 1, 2, 3, and then I get to work now, and I sit down and I look through my calendar to see what's going on. My first class starts at 5:15. So yeah.
You got long days you're putting in.
Oh yeah.
So what time are you wrapping up? If you're starting at 5:15, what time are you wrapping up usually?
7. The gym technically closes at 7. I probably leave around 7:30.
Okay.
And then the evening starts, and so
yeah, that's right.
And that's where things get fun. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What about as far as diet? So if somebody maybe is, again, in that same ballpark where they're like, I just need to start doing something, I don't really know what to do. Any general advice on diet that you would say implement right away?
Water.
Drink a lot of water.
Water would be the very first one. Most people don't drink water. They get thirsty and they drink soda. They drink tea. They drink coffee. They drink juice. They drink, you name it.
Not water.
But not water. Yeah. And so water is a 0-calorie drink, and it does some of the most things that your body needs. I mean, your body's 70% water, but most of the time we get our hydration from something else that has a whole bunch of other stuff in it. Oh yeah, and some water, you know.
Yeah.
And so if you can start there, again, small habit, small victory. Just start by, I'm gonna drink a gallon of water every day.
Yep.
Small. And so you build from there. Okay. Because if you go from I've never been on a diet in my life to saying I'm gonna stop eating sugar altogether, you're gonna fail really quickly.
You feel
because
miserable.
your body's gonna immediately reject you know this loss of sugar. You have the cravings, you got the sugar flu, like all that stuff. It takes place immediately when you jump hard. Yeah. So you kind of, like I said, small steps.
That's what our buddy Jake said too.
Steps.
Remember he said, "Don't be extreme."
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are saying the same thing.
Yeah. I think that's great advice too, and really, I think the slower you can make that progress, and people want quick wins, like you said, but it's like if you can make the progress just slowly and consistently, it's going to be habits that stick. It's going to be a body that stays the way it is, rather than, and I'm guilty of this. Like a couple years ago, like I would lose 20 pounds and then I'd gain 15, and then I would lose 20 pounds and gain 25, and I'm like on this yo-yo. And then it wasn't until I really was like, all right, let me just, instead of doing that every year, let me just like be consistent for a year,
right?
And then it seems to stick way more. Trying to think of another question I had around that. Anything you have? Other questions?
Just interested to hear any future plans that you have. I mean, I know you said you want to be there for the long haul and whatnot, but if you have anything that you could tell us about the future of Faithful Fitness.
Got you. So, currently we're doing it's called Spring into Summer Challenge. And it's kind of like that. I think you talked about the people in the beginning of the year who's like, yeah, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And then by mid-February, they're like, nah, never mind. You know what I'm saying? I'm out. No, this is too much. So it's called Spring into Summer. I mean, literally spring into summer, but also like jump into summer.
Yeah.
And it's about being summer ready, and so many people want the right bikini, the nice abs. They look right, feel right, and smell right, all of that, but you haven't put the work in. And so it's an 8-week challenge that we got running right now. It starts actually Monday. And so it gives people the opportunity to come use the gym, do all the classes that we offer. You get a heart rate monitor, meal plan, so you don't really got to think about it. Eat the right things. Swag T-shirt, Spring to Summer Challenge, and then the person who has the biggest transformation will actually win $500. So that's something that we're doing right now.
So is that body fat percentage? How do you do that?
Total. So we're doing before and after pictures.
Okay.
So it's like total transformation.
Gotcha.
So we're also doing 2 smaller categories where if you burn the most calories, you'll win $250, and if you have the most MEPs, MEPs is a action or as a measurable that MyZone uses for like. When you're in the green to yellow to red, you get more points for being up there. So having a more intense workout.
Gotcha.
So you have the most points there, you win $250. You have the most calories, win $250. Biggest transformation overall wins $250. You can't win all 3, so you cannot win all 3. You can't win all 3. You win one of them. So that's going on. That starts on Monday, and so we've got some people that are coming into that, and
awesome.
so which is really really cool. I actually had the opportunity to be principal for the day at Elkton Elementary School.
That was recent.
Awesome.
That was recently. Yeah, that was. It's been a busy couple of weeks. I think that was 2 weeks ago. Actually,
I've seen
Jason,
people.
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
I see people posting like principal for a day. I'm like, man, this has got to be cool.
That's awesome.
It was a really really cool experience. To see school from the other side. Mm-hmm. When you're in school is either you love it or you don't. You know what I'm saying? But to see it from the other side and to see the perspectives of the students. First of all, I'm like 6'4", 6'5", so they're like, who is this? When I walk in, I'm like immediately looking up. So, but we had this. We were going into the different classrooms, and so when I opened Faithful Fitness, one of my desires was to open a youth boxing program, like after school program.
Love that.
Boxing, like I said, there was a season in my life where I actually became homeless when I was out in Minnesota. And so it was boxing training that helped me kind of rediscover myself and to find myself. I was using it as cross training to play football, but really was a way for me to...
It was much deeper than that,
to get up out of what I was in.
Yeah.
You talk about that depression after sports is over.
Yeah.
I broke my foot, won a national championship, couldn't play, hit rock bottom. Mm-hmm. And so I was out there, no support system, had no family. I was in Duluth, Minnesota. It's cold, like 9 months out the year, So I was in a low spot for about 9 months. And so boxing helped me come up out of that. And so I know the power of that type of training beyond what you see on TV. You know what I'm saying? There's an absolute connection between the impact the new language that you have to learn through boxing. It's been proven that it helps people with Alzheimer's and all that kind of stuff. And so, but it helped me with anxiety, depression, all that stuff. So I've wanted to launch a youth boxing program. After coming from Elkton, it's like a must. Love the school, love the staff, all of that. They had this is something that I don't think a lot of us as adults really think about. So, there's been a rise in, mass shootings in schools and all of that. And I never thought about what the students are experiencing that go to school now.
Yep.
The fear that they carry when they're in school. And so I had the opportunity to see some of that when I was at Elkton, and I realized this program has to happen. There's an outlet that's needed to help them cope with some of the stressors. I mean, when we were in school, that wasn't even a thought. That was nothing. That was nothing that you had to question.
We just talked about that last week, Jason and I, and what these kids just even being exposed to the thought of that is like heartbreaking, because they, at that age, I mean, I couldn't even, and even now, I can't really wrap my head around what that is. And these kids have to go through drills on a regular basis, and what happens if it's just crazy to think. But you're right. I think there's definitely a need for kids to have a way to cope with that and kind of like mentally get through something like that.
Exactly. And so, like you said, they have to go through drills, and they have to go through scenarios, and our biggest drill was school bus evacuation. We had to jump off the back of the bus, someone to help you down, or fire drill. You know what I'm saying? And fire drill was like recess. So now it's like hide under here. It's different. So they're walking with and so you talk about mental health and all this kind of stuff. All this factors into this anxiety and this fear. So I know what boxing did for me and what it's done for the clients that I have now that are adults. And so I have a few children who are boxers. I have a 6-year-old. She's a little beast. I'm just gonna post a video. She's like really good.
That's cool.
She doesn't even know it. She's just having fun. But you know what I mean? She's really good. And so
you're looking at how her body moves. You're like, you know what I mean? Like you were talking about earlier. You're like, this girl's got it.
Yeah, she's got it. And like, Dad, I don't know if you want her to have it, but she got it. You know what I mean? If you're thinking about it. So anyway, she's awesome. So that's
great.
Creating that program for the youth. And so my goal is to have it run quarterly. So like there'll be an enrollment for the first quarter, and then you can re-enroll them for the second quarter, the third quarter, or whatever. Be low barrier entry, because it's really about helping them to deal with life.
I love that, man. I have to get my kids up there.
Deal with life, yeah.
That's cool.
I would definitely have to do that. They would love it.
Yep.
Take us back a little bit. So you said that boxing helped you out of this place in your life where, like, what was the time frame for this? Like, this was after your college career?
This was, yes.
And you were still trying to make a career out of football.
Yes. So what happened was in 2008, 2007, LaSalle University dropped their football program due to a medical malpractice lawsuit.
Oh, wow.
Which at the time we didn't notice what it was. Found out years later what had happened. And so we had a player that got injured pretty seriously. And this was like right around the time with the concussion protocol and all that. And so they let him kind of do something and so he ended up getting really injured. And so the family sued. They won the lawsuit. And so after the season in 2007, we came in for our end of the year meeting, and they were like, program's done. And so it was like the world shook.
And this is going into your senior year.
This is going into my senior year. Wow. So I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Mind blown, right? And so I get a call 2 hours later from University of Minnesota Duluth. Somehow someone knew, heard of me and said, we'll give you a full-ride scholarship to come out here and play ball. Wow. And so for your senior year. And I'm like, Duluth, Minnesota? I had never even heard of this place before, right? Get out there, program's phenomenal. Cold as, listen.
Dude.
Real temperature was 55 below zero. Real temp.
That's insane.
Not wind chill, actual temperature.
That is crazy.
Different cold. Great football, though.
Yeah.
Great football. And so we won a D2 national championship in 2008. I broke my foot that summer. And so I never got to step on the field.
Oh, my gosh. Man.
And so did all the training, ready. I was number 1 wide receiver. Had me slotted to be, conference athlete of the year, all that. Broke my foot. So watched us win a national championship. Wasn't going to class. Wasn't doing nothing. And so they were like, well, we can get you your scholarship back, but you gotta. And so I couldn't get myself out of what I just missed. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up going from full ride scholarship, plus financial aid. So they cut me a check for this, cut me a check for that, to being homeless by the fall of 2009. the winter. So like February of 2010.
Not long, yeah.
Yeah, and
So you had to use your year of eligibility the year you broke your foot, or did you have another year?
They would have gave me medical.
They would.
They gave me medical for that year. So I never actually played my senior season in college.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you still have a year left.
I still have a year left.
Anybody who's watching,
I'm still out here. Yeah. So I it's funny. I fell into a low place. And so I went from, like I said, national championship to homeless, and I was homeless for about 9 months. I mean,
wow.
Homeless.
Wow.
Rock bottom. Yeah, where I was, sleeping on someone's floor if they would let me, type homeless. And so someone came to me about playing in this semi-pro league that they had out there, and I was like, I'm so deconditioned, I'm out of shape, I haven't ran, I haven't done nothing, and my mind wasn't even in a place to be competitive. I kind of lost myself, to be honest with you. And I was too ashamed to call anyone from home to talk about it. I was just like, I'm just gonna, whatever's whatever. I was drinking, smoking, all that. I was, So walked into this boxing gym, and it was a boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai gym, and it was something about the training that made me realize I have to defeat myself. And I think that when it comes to accomplishing anything in life, you're not really in competition with other people. You're in competition with yourself. Can you defeat you?
Your ego.
Your ego, exactly. Can you defeat your ego? Can you defeat your pride? Yeah. Can you defeat your selfishness? Whatever it is that's keeping you where you don't want to be, you have to defeat that. No one can do that for you.
Yeah.
And so boxing is very much like that, because it's you versus you, And so it was that training that kind of helped me. Not kind of. It absolutely helped me to find myself. And it was one of the hardest workouts I'd ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I was playing semi-pro ball, had a phenomenal season, 12 catches and 6 touchdowns. I was like, well, I don't know if you can get any better than that. It's like every other one touchdown. So,
hit this guy the ball.
Immediately. So, and it helped me. So I've always done boxing training since.
Got it.
Doing that. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
So then you played the semi-pro league out there, and then you went on. You said tried out for the Saints or what?
The Saints were actually recruiting me from when I was playing at LaSalle.
Got it.
They were coming to the games, all of that, and so my high school football coach, he was good friends with the recruiting coordinator at the New Orleans Saints, and so after I did my semi-pro year, I moved back to Maryland in 2011, and my coach was like, hey, they're still looking at you for you. Wow. And I was like, well, let me get to work there, you know what I'm saying? So I got a personal trainer down in the Arena Club down in Bel Air, Jeremy Navarre, played football with him. Him and I played football from
Was he a Joppatown guy?
Yeah, Joppatown guy. State champ wrestler, state champ that year. Played for the Jaguars, I think, in the Cardinals in the league. And so I was like, yeah, you're going to train me. We're going to make this happen. So we trained, and I was getting back to where I needed to be, and I was doing some work, and it wasn't even something I should have been doing. I'm playing defense on another wide receiver, and I was trying to show these cats how to, how you're supposed to do this, and so, and my back pedal broke. I gave the guy some space to kind of bait the quarterback threw it. As soon as I planted to pick the ball, I felt my hamstring just roll up in the back of my leg. Got the interception, yeah, great, but I tore my hamstring.
Man.
And so that was 2012.
Wow.
That year, the entire coaching staff for the Saints got suspended for they had the bounty games that year where they were paying players. So when the new administration came in, it was like, oh, we getting our guys.
Yeah.
And so that was that.
Wow.
And so after that, I was kind of like, well, God, now what? You know what I'm saying? And so I kind of rolled around job to job to job, and then kind of walked into training. And so launched a boxing program in Merritt in 2015. Program took off. And I was like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
It just sounds like a lot of opportunities where you could have just said, the hell with it, and just been done. You know what I mean? That's what I'm hearing. Like so many opportunities where you have all these now what moments, and the now what moment can go, the good way or the bad way. And so many times you had the option to just be like, I'm done. Yeah. Like this is it. Mm-hmm. But every single time, bounce back from something that led to something else.
Right.
And like you said, everything's a blessing, man.
It is.
That's so cool. That's really cool.
Are you familiar with David Goggins? You
follow
him at all? Because he talks.
He
talks a lot about like what you said though about defeating yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And he talks about. I think he even talks about like, killing the version of himself that he was before when he was 300 pounds and he wanted to be a Navy SEAL. It was like, and he talks about that constantly. That mental game in his head of, like, I'm defeating myself yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's a place that I think probably not a lot of people get to, but I think if more people could get to that place of really feeling like you're defeating yourself, right, from yesterday, or you're just getting better every day, it's a kind of like a freeing place to be.
It is. And honestly, the everyday grinding is really what that is saying. It's like every day I'm doing at least one thing. It might not be something huge, something small, to get better than I was yesterday. You know what I'm saying? And so not every victory is massive. And I think sometimes we look for the big, like, super huge win, and it's not. Sometimes it's just small, and the small wins, they add up. They add up.
Yep. And also too, you can't really put a bigger small on a like a victory or an impact that you have, because you might have, for example, one of these kids that's going to go through your program. The ripple effect of that, of a small gesture, like, and it could be something as small as, we say small, you giving them an encouraging word that they're not hearing from their parents or from their coaches or their teachers, and then the ripple effect of that when they go into the rest of their lives and the people that they impact, it's like, how can you say that's a small thing?
Yeah.
How can you say that encouragement is small when you don't know the impact of it?
Yeah, you might not see it, man, but
it's there.
It's huge.
Casey, when you said that, it reminded me of something my third grade teacher told me. So me and my third grade teacher, we had battles. And so we had battles.
In third grade.
I could talk a lot. I had a lot to say. So anyway, he made this rule where I couldn't say anything in his class until I counted to 10 in my head. And so I was always very sharp in school, very fast. Math was my thing. I boom, 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 flying. So he would ask a question. I raised my hand. He'd say, Bernie, I have to sit there for 10 seconds. And so, first of all, the humiliation of me sitting there, people laughing. I'm like, 6, 7, 8. So anyway, we had battles. So at the end of the school year, I was walking out to school, and he said, Bernie, I just want to tell you something. One day you're going to be a star. That word has stuck with me since third grade.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like you said, you don't know how, we can't quantify big or small because we don't know the end game. We don't know the ripple effect.
Yeah.
It's just about, can you do something good today? And tomorrow will take care of itself.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I would love to help out any way we can with the program you want to roll out. Like, whatever we can do to help that or get the word out. How do people find you? Like, do you active on Instagram, or what's the best way for people to find you?
Yep. So on the website is www.faithfulfitmd.com.
Okay.
The Instagram handle is the same. So it's faithful_fit_MD.
Okay, cool.
And then on Facebook, it's the same, faithful_fit_MD.
Okay, cool.
And so you go on Google and you look us up. We're out there.
We're gonna get up there and see him.
Yeah, definitely.
Get there and see him, man, for sure.
We would love to take our show on the road and go see some of the people that we've talked to. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we're planning on it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be cool.
And we'll make sure we link. We'll make sure we link the page to Bernie's gym in the show notes. So if anybody wants to find him, but yeah, if you're in the area too of Elkton, Northeast, Cecil County, and you're looking to get in shape, sitting across from a guy that knows how to get you in shape. I'll promise you that.
Yeah, we've had some big, strong people on this podcast. I'm looking in the mirror like, what in the world? I thought I was in shape.
Y'all look good though. Y'all look good. Y'all look good, lean, athletic.
Like you could rip this building down in 5 minutes.
I'm all right.
I love it, man.
Funny, man.
It was great connecting with you.
Thank you
we'll
for
definitely
being
keep
here.
in touch. And any final words you want to leave the audience with?
Just simply what we talked about today is just, every day try to do something better than you did yesterday. And don't look for the biggest win. Look for beating yourself today. Can I be better today than I was yesterday? At Faithful Fitness, our mission is to heal people holistically, one rep at a time. When you say one day, one rep. If you can do one rep better today than you did yesterday, you're moving in the right direction. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Give us a like, comment,
share.
Yes, please. And help get the word out for Faithful Fitness and Bernie. And, let's help him make an impact on the kids of our community.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you so much, Bernie.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, man. See you guys. This is The Real Deal. Take care.